It's me, Luigi. Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. Happy Halloween, everyone. To those that do celebrate today, I'm throwing up the L's for Florida today as Luigi. Hope you all are enjoying your fired up Friday on this very special Halloween edition of the AZ Wildcats pod. As I'm sure you can see on the bottom right of your screen, we have a beautiful, beautiful, ghastly, dare I say, AZ Wildcats pod logo to celebrate today's holiday. And it's spooky hours, it's scary hours for college basketball. Basketball is finally back. I'm extremely pumped, extremely excited to be bringing this pod to you guys today. Damon will be back tomorrow. He is in Colorado, going to be covering the Arizona versus Colorado football game at Folsom Field. He is out there probably having himself a couple brews and have a really good time. So we do miss Damon here at the office, but today it is just me. I tried to get Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings. This hat is going to have to go at some point, but I tried to get Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings for today's show. He is a very busy man with college basketball and the NBA kicking off this time of year, but he will join us Monday. We will have some Tyler Rucker thoughts on the Arizona versus Florida game for our pregame show. So if you're also hyped for that huge marquee monster mash of a game, then make sure to tap in with our coverage pregame, watch along, and postgame for Arizona versus Florida. Chat, how are we doing? Sam Albert says, damn, Damon does kind of look like a Mario. And honestly, maybe I should have gotten Damon to send me a photo of him in a Mario hat, or maybe I should have photoshopped it after the fact. But yes, Luigi is for today. I'll at least keep this hat on for as long as I can. It is, I will say, not the most comfortable hat, but happy Halloween to everybody. I wanted to start this show by saying Arizona basketball is officially back. Arizona women's basketball has officially won an exhibition, which is a huge first step for Becky Burke. We're going to cover that a little bit today. We're going to talk everything that Tommy Lloyd had to say. And he actually had a lot to say today, not only about the Florida matchup, but about gambling and the state of college basketball, and I guess pro basketball, sports as a whole. I thought Tommy Lloyd's answer to that question about availability reports and its impact on college sports was very thoughtful and very passionate for a more of a timid guy like Tommy Lloyd. So welcome on in to the AZ Wildcats podcast. Let's start previewing this marquee matchup with Florida. You see the smile on my face. I've had a countdown on my laptop for months now leading up to this matchup between Tommy Lloyd and Todd Golden. Honestly, two WCC foes, right? Like, people don't know, as you know, maybe some that watch MMA, Joe Rogan always says, people forget, man, but people do forget, man, that Tommy Lloyd and Todd Golden do have a bit of a history, right? Back when Todd Golden was at San Francisco, I believe, as a player or as a member of the staff. And then also during the St. Mary's time and Gonzaga times, just that conference as a whole, Todd Golden and Tommy Lloyd overlapped quite a bit. Here's what Tommy Lloyd had to say about his relationship with head coach of Florida, Todd Golden.
Obviously our paths have crossed a lot. Todd's a really talented young coach. Who's found a really good identity for how he wants to play with his teams, and obviously, they built a team that was capable of winning the national championship, and being capable of winning it and winning it are two different things, and they got it done. So got a ton of respect for what he's done. For sure. Todd was more of a shooter. I remember one game they upset us down at St. Mary's, and I think, they literally pitched like a perfect game, and I think he was like 4 for 4 from 3. Bruce, you can look that up and see how good my memory is, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
This is going to be a really fun matchup between two of the, I would say, best and brightest young coaches in the college basketball space right now. I think I was listening to Sleepers Media. Shout out to them. They do great work, very slept on work, pun very much intended over there at Sleepers Media. But they were talking about how the trajectories of a Todd Golden and a Tommy Lloyd, while on the surface are not one-to-one, it's more of an apples to oranges comparison. But the facelift that Todd Golden's reputation had last year after winning the national title, he went from a coach that, young, promising, doing a lot of good work with Florida to, is he one of the best coaches in the country? Is this a coach that every program in America should want to have? And I think that obviously winning the national title is a massive, massive accomplishment. And it does, and it should boost your reputation as a head basketball coach of whatever program wins it that year. However, I do think when you're at Arizona and you're a Wildcat fan, like me, like every single one of you in the chat, Tommy Lloyd is on the precipice of true greatness as a college basketball head coach. He does not have the Final Fours. He does not even have the Elite Eight appearance yet. However, the foundation of one of the winningest coaches in the history of the sport is there, right? Now, I say that to say this. It could go multitude of ways for Tommy Lloyd in his career. He could become one of the greatest coaches ever. He could become a forgotten name in the history of college basketball coaching that was once a really bright, shining light. But I think that as Arizona fans, we often have this perspective that if Tommy Lloyd can't reach the Elite Eight, right, then what is he good for, right? But I think, look at other coaches around the country. There are so many young, promising coaches across the country that are upcoming, that have yet to break through. And it feels like Tommy Lloyd is on the precipice of a breakthrough, right? The results. This is a what have you done for me lately kind of a sport, kind of a culture that we live in, I will say. It's about wins and it's about losses. Tommy Lloyd has had, we talked about it on McHale Madness last night, a lot more wins than he has losses until you get into the tournament, right? And that's when everybody tunes in. That's when people tune out regular season talk, and they want to know, what have you done for me lately? And in the tournament, Tommy Lloyd is 6-4, just above 500, with a loss to Clemson, Princeton mixed in there. Not the most shining record in March Madness for Tommy Lloyd. This year feels different. I think objectively, every Arizona fan can sit at home and say, this year I feel more confident in this Tommy Lloyd squad than any Tommy Lloyd squad of days, years, seasons past. Peat, Tobe Awaka, Jaden Bradley, the physicality, the intelligence, the experience of some of these even younger players having very high level experience. Ivan Karchenkov played for Bayern Munich overseas. Peat is a multiple-time gold medalist, 4-time state champion. These are not your average run-of-the-mill freshmen that Tommy Lloyd's adding to this mix. And then you take Tommy Lloyd's group that he accumulated this year and take him to Vegas. Night one, opening tip-off against the Florida Gators, and who their last game was a national championship effort where they cut down the nets and they celebrated another ring. This is a massive opportunity for Tommy Lloyd. He's going to downplay it. He's going to say that it's just one game in a mix of potentially 40 games this year. But if Arizona wins this game, we will remember it for the entirety of the year and going forward, especially if the end of the year is positive. This game will not tell us everything we need to know about Arizona for the rest of the year. It is only going to be November 3rd. However, we're going to know a whole hell of a lot about how this non-conference can go for Arizona based on their performance against a team the caliber of Florida. I think when you look at this matchup, you're looking at two gargantuan. You're looking at two ginormous front courts here between Florida and Arizona. I was looking at Ken Pom earlier. I don't think that he has the height and weight statistics in, and the hat is officially coming off market at 9:30 into the show. But Ken Pom has yet to put in his height aggregated statistics for this season. However, it feels like Florida is going to be near the top of that list again this season with the front court that they possess standing at 6'10", 6'11", 6'9". Like, they're massive, massive dudes. Even Thomas Haugh, who when you look him up, When you look up Thomas Haugh on Google, it is not even him that pops up first. It is a picture of Cooper Flagg. And I think if I was that man, I would be highly, highly disappointed that I can't even Google myself without having to look Cooper Flagg right straight in the mug. However, Thomas Haugh is a hell of a basketball player. And I think that's where we have to start this matchup. Previewing it is in the front court. Arizona has rebuilt its front court in many ways. You think, well, you return Krivas, you return Awaka, and you bring in Peat. How is that really rebuilding it? But you also didn't really have Krivas last year. You really didn't. You lose Vesar, who became the featured center last year, or at least the featured big, I will say. Tobe Awaka was kind of a mix of the 4 and the 5, but he is a monster. We know that. You lose Vesar, you bring back Krivas. What does that equal for Arizona? It gives you actually a lot of versatility in this matchup versus Florida. Size, strength, defense, offense. I have full confidence that Arizona can win the front court matchup against Florida. Can win the front court matchup against Florida. It's going to take a big effort from one Motiejus Krivas to dominate his matchups in this game. You cannot have him bringing the ball down, playing smaller than he wants to be. He needs to dominate his opponents. I think he can do that in this matchup. Tobe Awaka. I think that you look at the heights on paper and you say, I don't know. If you're like a Florida fan, you say, I don't know if that Awaka guy who played at Tennessee in our conference a little bit ago, I don't know if he can hang with Condon and Chinyelu and Haugh. I would think twice if I was a Florida fan and you had that thought. Tobe Awaka is going to be an impact player in this basketball game. I truly believe that. If Krivas is not the impact player, Tobe Awaka surely will be in that front court. He's going to rebound the hell out of the ball. He's going to play very strong on both ends. He's going to give matchup problems for Florida. And by that, I mean, I'm not saying you're running the offense through Tobe Awaka, but someone has to be guarded by Tobe Awaka. Someone has to out-rebound Tobe Awaka. And hell, he showed more versatility to his offense this year in the brief exhibition scrimmages that he has played. He only played in one of the two. But I do expect Tobe Awaka to be a huge impact in this game. And I need, as an Arizona fan, I need Mo Krivas to dominate his matchup in this one. Let's talk Thomas. Let's talk Thomas Haugh. Haugh. He is not a very good pick and roll defender. And as we talk about the backcourt matchup in this one in a second here, that I think Arizona has a pretty decent advantage in this one, which maybe on paper, if you're not an Arizona fan, maybe you're thinking, I don't know, you got a freshman in Brayden Burries. Jaden Bradley, can he even shoot? I don't know. I like Boogie Fland. Xavian Lee, he cooked in the Ivy League. I kind of like what Todd Golden's doing over there. You can think that, sure. I'm not going to say that you don't know ball for saying that. However, don't sleep on the backcourt of Jaden Bradley and Brayden Burries. I think that, and I'm talking about Thomas Haugh still, but I think that the backcourt of Arizona can really interact with the bigs in this one and make it tough on Florida to defend. Thomas Haugh is a bad pick and roll defender. Bad. Like I'm not being dramatic. He's not good. I think last year he was less than 20th percentile in pick and roll points per possession on defense. He was bad at stopping the pick and roll. And it's not in a small sample size. He played in all 40 games last year for Florida. In fact, he was the only guy to score in all 40 games. He is a hell of a player. I'm not trying to say that he's not good. He's going to be very good in this game. In fact, in his 5 starts last year, because he did come off the bench on the majority of that run, in his 5 starts, he averaged 13.2 points, shooting 53.3% from the field and 41 from 3 and 84% from the line. That is incredibly efficient if you are Thomas Haugh. And I think that where Arizona can really take his minutes away and really make it a problem for Florida is in that pick and roll. You can take advantage of him in the pick and roll. A guy like Brayden Burries, a guy like Jaden Bradley, they know how to run the pick and roll. Sam says it there in the chat. I'm excited for the Haugh versus Peat matchup. Me as well. Because look, who's going to be running the pick and roll with Jaden Bradley and Brayden Burries? Peat. Especially if you're trying to take advantage of Thomas Haugh. Peat is going to be so athletic and so explosive getting to the hoop. The rim pressure that Arizona can provide to Florida's front court, I think it's going to be pivotal in this matchup. You look at Haugh, you look at Hen Logton off the bench. That's another 7-footer for Florida off the bench. One of the best offensive rebounders in the SEC, dare I say, in the conference as well. I think the backcourt for Arizona should win this matchup for Arizona. If they can take advantage of some of the defensive liabilities that Florida has, right? Xavian Lee is not the best defender. I don't know how to break that to people. I know that people love the preseason lists. People love doing that. Me and Damon love talking about preseason lists. I just saw one today at the top freshman in the Big 12 that I can't wait to talk about maybe on Monday, or I guess Tuesday, because we're doing a postgame on Monday. But point being, people love Xavian Lee. People love Boogie Fland. And I think those are really good players. I'm a huge Xavian Lee fan, especially when he was at Princeton. I thought, very fun player to watch. He's a really good facilitator, a very strong passer, not the best defender. Boogie Fland, again, very good passer, good point of attack, like good on-ball defender, not like the most well-rounded defender. Like I'm not really watching Boogie Fland off-ball defense tape to try to educate myself on what off-ball defense is supposed to look like. But I think the problem for their backcourt comes where you're trying to score. I know that sounds strange because Xavian Lee and Boogie Fland are both very good offensive guards. But who's going to run the offense? Is it going to be Xavian Lee, who his game is not predicated on being off the ball? Like his game is predicated on being the ball handler, the point guard. But so is Boogie Fland's. There's a lot of question marks with Florida's backcourt. How much of Xavian Lee's production transfers into the SEC with him, right? I think that this is Condon going to run point. I hear you, Sam. I do. But I think if you bring in these two guards, right, they got to run the offense for you in a lot of ways. You're going to rely on your experienced players that just went 40 games last year and won you a national title. That's 3 of the 5 in your starting lineup, right? Chinyelu, Condon, Haugh. They all played huge minutes last year on a championship caliber, championship winning team. But they just don't. They have so many more question marks with their team, I think, than Arizona does. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but I think it's true, right? We know what Jaden Bradley brings. He's going to guard you full court, and he's going to crash the rim on the other, and he's going to facilitate on the other. We know to an extent there are question marks with Brayden Burries to the extent you can rely on him to run the offense and be that production and do everything that you think Brayden Burries is capable of doing. He is just a freshman, so there are inherent question marks there. However, his role seems pretty blatant. His role seems pretty outlined for him. It's going to be volume scoring. Corey Williams on the Mikhail Madness pod last night. Make sure to go check it out. Make sure to listen to it. It was very, very fun to reconnect with Saul and Corey talking Arizona Wildcats basketball exclusively, right, for about an hour plus. But Corey was saying that, he doesn't think that Brayden Burries is going to average the high number of points per game that everybody else does. And I would be extremely disappointed if he did not do that, if he did not fulfill at least the scoring expectations. I'm not going to say that I think that Brayden Burries has to fulfill everything we think he could be and more for us to not be fully disappointed in him. But I do think in terms of being a 3-level scorer, in terms of running the offense in the departure of Caleb Love, I think he is completely capable of doing that, especially when he's playing next to Jaden Bradley, pardon me. So I don't think that there are nearly as many question marks with Arizona's backcourt as there are with Florida's. And that gives me a big amount of confidence in this matchup. The front court feels like there's an edge given to Florida very validly. But I also think Arizona can hang with that Florida front court based on size, based on physicality, based on play style on both ends. I think they can hang. It's going to come down to the backcourt. Is Brayden Burries ready for the moment? Is Jaden Bradley going to dominate this game the way that we expect him to? And honestly, is Tommy Lloyd about to outcoach Todd Golden? I think this is a huge opportunity for all parties involved. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Carl, Deborah, Eric, Sam, Pugs and Hugs, Tom Lemke, my grandfather. Thank you to everybody tapping in on today's show. Please make sure to leave a like Rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcasting app. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to like Apple Podcasts or something. Give us a 5 stars. It's Halloween. It's Fired Up Friday. You know, I want a 5-star Fired Up Friday. So make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, drop in the chat any takes, questions, or predictions about this Florida matchup that you want to discuss. I am very open to doing that. But right after this break on the AZ Wildcats podcast, I'm going to discuss a lot more about this Arizona versus Florida matchup. And we're going to get into everything Tommy Lloyd had to say at his press availability today. Stick around, leave a like, drink your water. Don't go anywhere. Unless it is to our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, any of their 4 locations across the Great Valley, the Freedom State here. Haven't broke that term out in a while, but the Freedom State of Arizona. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where you do you. Whether it's, whether it's Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, V Kiva, Santan, Mountain, they got multiple locations. If you are out here in the Valley, you are near a Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I love doing a staycation at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Did it a couple months ago. My girlfriend recently was like, babe, we should do a staycation or something. And instantly thought to myself, how quick can I book a room at Gila River Resorts and Casinos? Whether it's a steak dinner or just a simple beer with your friends down at the bar, or enjoying a nice little, sweat at the sports book, one of the largest in the state. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Make sure to check out all of the huge guest experiences that they offer, whether it's concerts, comedy shows, live events. You might even catch a Cardinals watch party there. You might catch a Suns watch party there. Who knows what's going on at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Circle K, everybody. Circle K is America's thirst stop. And not only is it America's thirst stop, it's my damn thirst stop. I love Circle K. I stop by Circle K probably once a week at least to fill up on my car, to get water, to get a drink, to get, hop into the beer cave, maybe refill my fridge at home with some beer cave beers from Circle K. They have deals on snacks. They have deals on roller food. They have deals on everything. But let's keep it real. Mostly you're going to a gas station for gas. And everyone, when they're talking about gas, is like, what's the price of gas nowadays? Well, no matter what the price of gas is, it's less at Circle K. When you join the Inner Circle Rewards membership program, it's really easy. When I first signed up, I did it at the pump while my car was filling up. And by the time my car was done filling up, I was already an Inner Circle member. And the next time I went to the Circle K, 25 cents off per gallon on my first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon on every single fill-up after that. And then 5 cents off per gallon when you become a cool kid like me, like Damon, like Derek, like everybody here at the PHNX studios. And you become an exclusive Inner Circle member. So make sure to head over to your local Circle K, become a Circle K member, or just download the download the Circle K app and become an Inner Circle member for free today. Terms and conditions do apply only at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. We are back. We are talking about how this show is presented by Branded Bills, because I forgot to mention that off the top of the show. My sincerest apologies to our friends over at Branded Bills. The show is brought to you by Branded Bills. It is the most comfortable headwear in all of headwear. I have so many Branded Bills around me. I'm trying to pick one, but this is a Wilbur Wildcat Branded Bills hat. The people at Branded Bills came over to our office months and months and months ago now when we first started this partnership and said, hey, you guys love hats. You guys love Arizona, talking to me and Damon. And they said, what do you want on a hat? And we said, this bad boy right here. We said, put a Wilbur in his hat on a hat. And sure enough, here it is. It is so beautiful. The Branded Bills, man, look at that. Look at that. It's so distinct. Anytime you see Branded Bills out and about, you absolutely know that person has stepped up, elevated their brand. Code BBPHNX for a discount on your next Branded Bills order. Let's talk more Arizona versus Florida. We have a comment here in the chat from That's Gonna Leave a Mark. Says prediction for season record. Let me pull up my own Twitter here, because I did post that a couple of weeks ago, I think, my official record prediction. But honestly, it was very optimistic. It was an optimistic record prediction. And I'm not like, I don't know. It's out there. So you can hold me to it. But I said my preseason win-loss record my preseason win-loss prediction, for Arizona is 26-5. 26-5. That is very, very optimistic considering the brutal non-conference that they play, considering the conference in which they are held in. Very tough to only pull off 5 losses. I have losses to Houston, Kansas, BYU, UConn, and Alabama. Right. I think those are just the losses that I see right now on the schedule. I'm not even saying that I don't think those are winnable games for Arizona, but you got to pick losses somewhere in there. And so I picked some losses. But yeah, that was my record prediction for this year. That's going to leave a mark. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Let's continue talking about this Florida matchup. Enough of me discussing this Florida matchup. Let's hear Tommy Lloyd talk a little bit about just his love for Vegas and, you know, the overall atmosphere that he expects for this T-Mobile Center.
For sure. I mean, I think, now, all those Pac-12 days way back when, we had a great presence in Las Vegas. So, something, Las Vegas is a great city. It's a great neutral city that fans from both teams or all teams will travel to. So, and obviously it's an entertainment capital of our country. So yeah, anytime you can, have a exciting basketball game there and, give your fans a few other things to do besides watch a game, I think that's pretty cool. I'm 0 for 0 this year. So like I don't think past history is going to be an indicator of what will happen this year. So yeah, obviously there's good proximity for us, and our fans love going to Vegas. And from what I've heard, it's going to be a great crowd. I mean, I've heard it's pretty much a sold out venue. Going to be an exciting opening night of college basketball. I'm sure, Florida's fans are going to be there as well. They're excited, being the defending national champs as they should. And, I think our fans are excited to see our team play as well. So I'm expecting a great atmosphere Monday afternoon.
I'm also expecting a great atmosphere on Monday. I think it's going to be absolutely electric. Arizona fans, I know, are traveling to this game. They always travel to Vegas, and I think that this will be no different. I expect Florida fans to travel pretty well. It's the season opener in a year where they're defending their national championship. So this is going to be an absolutely electric matchup to start the year. But how did this matchup come along?
It's a great opportunity. It came about in the offseason. There's a promoter that's running the event, and we had expressed an interest in playing, in Vegas, and I guess Florida did as well. So it really came together that easy. It was a promoter who put it together, and it was an easy decision. We're excited for the opportunity.
And, I don't know how I got this far into the show without playing this clip, but they asked Tommy Lloyd what his favorite candy was. And before I play this clip, can I get a guess in the chat for all our viewers right now live? What do you think Tommy Lloyd's favorite candy is? And I will talk about that answer that he gave about how Florida came along and the atmosphere a little bit more while you guys get your guesses for favorite candy of Tommy Lloyd in the chat. But look, this is going to be a huge game. And I think that this stage that Arizona has given itself with the non-conference, with the opener against Florida, with just being in the Big 12 in general, it gives Arizona a massive stage to not only play on, but to recruit on. As we have an Almond Joy guest in the chat from Eric Brotherton, solid guest. I think that this stage, like for example, it brings in players. Koa Peat, when Saul Bookman spoke to him at Team USA Trials in Colorado Springs, said part of the reason why he chose Arizona was because it gives him the biggest stage to showcase his talents, right? This is a huge opportunity for these freshmen, for Jaden Bradley, for Tommy Lloyd, to get a feel for what this season could really be for Arizona basketball. And as we do have some guesses there in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and play the clip. Here is Tommy Lloyd's favorite candy.
Favorite Halloween candy? Man, I like a lot of them. I would say I really like Almond Joy. I like Almond Joy. Yeah, and I like the peanut butter ones. I like those as well. I mean, what happened to like the whatchamacallit? I miss a whatchamacallit, Charleston Chew.
Whatchamacallit's, Charleston Chews, Almond Joys. Eric, you nailed it. Shout out to you in the chat, my guy. But yeah, no, Tommy Lloyd, an OG candy guy himself. If you want to see my top 5 candies, please head over to the D-Back show. We did a top 5 candies draft at the end of the show. Pretty fun stuff. And we do have some comments and questions here in the chat. Deborah wanted to know, Kevo, do you think number 13 ranking preseason for Arizona is accurate? I do. I think they're about in that, they're in that range. I think there are some cases where like there are individual teams above Arizona, pardon me, that I have issue with, but like overall, I think they're probably in that range. I wouldn't really have them super high. I think if I did mine, I'd probably have them in like the 10-ish range, right? So I don't think it's crazy to have them at 13. They're going to have to earn their way into the top 10, the top 5, et cetera, et cetera. And ultimately, preseason rankings don't matter unless they're incredibly disrespectful or incredibly the other way. Zay2 True wants to know, is Bryce James in the rotation or is he learning this year and playing in year 2? Honestly, I don't expect Bryce James to play a lot this year at all. In fact, Tommy Lloyd mentioned the idea that he might get redshirted. This is a conversation that Tommy Lloyd has had with Bryce James probably since they started the recruitment of Bryce James. So it's not out of left field for Bryce James to not play at all this year. I would expect him to redshirt. I don't have any inside information. I'm just going off of what Tommy Lloyd hinted at during his Big 12 Media Day appearances. But it feels like a Bryce James redshirt is incoming. I don't think he'll be in the rotation for this Florida game, especially because the level of competition is so high. I just don't think that you want to throw a Bryce James out there if he's not necessarily ready for it. But yeah, I don't think he's in the rotation. I think he's learning this year, and I think he will play more in year 2. I know there are some people out there, some real Bryce James haters out there that like they just don't see the vision. I think that there is a world where Bryce James stays 2 to 3 years at Arizona and becomes a very serviceable college starter. I don't think that's a crazy take. I'm not saying he's going to become his father. Hell, I'm not even saying he's like NBA good, but we know he's college good. No, he can shoot. He's only had the best trainer since his entire life. His basketball IQ is absolutely massive, and his father is the GOAT. And by that, I'm not saying that he automatically becomes the GOAT, but what I am saying is he's been around only the highest level basketball minds his entire life. I think that equals a pretty damn good college starter, especially when he's a little bit long, he can really shoot the ball, and he makes the right plays. So I anticipate more Bryce James in year 2, and if I had to bet money on it, I would bet he probably redshirts this year. And then we also had Sam Albert saying could potentially turn Mo Krivas into a pro prospect again if he dominates Florida's bigs. I'm with you. I genuinely, I think people on the internet believe that me and Damon want Mo Krivas to be like shot into the moon or something. That's not at all the case. We're just, look, Mo Krivas, we talk about who are the true X factors for this team. We talk about Ivan Karchenkov. We talk about Dwayne Aristode. Mo Krivas, if he dominates his matchups more nights than he doesn't, this Arizona team should make an Elite 8. I'm not going to say easily, but it really increases Arizona's chances. I think my frustration with Mo Krivas lies in the fact that I actually think he's really good. But I think he instead of maximizing his talents, he gives too much opportunity to the opponent to stop him. He is far too big. Honestly, far too skilled to let his opponent hinder his ability to get a dunk, to block their shot, to get a board. He should be far more dominant than he is. I don't think Mo Krivas is bad. I really don't. I don't think he stinks. I think he's very serviceable. And I think if he levels up his aggression and he levels up his decisiveness, he could dominate. Genuinely. So yeah, I don't hate Mo Krivas. Those are for the people in the comments after our shows that are like, these guys hate Mo Krivas. A 15-minute Mo Krivas hate session. Miss me with that. But I really don't hate him. I think he is one of the most important players on this year's roster. Genuinely. We know the way Tommy Lloyd feels about Mo Krivas. This is seriously a impact player for Arizona, especially if he dominates. I like that comment from Sam. Eric says, can we get LeBron to come play in college with his son? And honestly, we're signing players out of the G League. What's the next step? LeBron never played in college. I hear that as soon as you take a college class, that's when your eligibility starts. The clock starts tick, tick, tick. The bunny with the clock, the meme. LeBron never took a college class to my knowledge. So Tommy Lloyd, let's get to work. Anyway, Sam Alberts also apparently is a Jordan GOAT guy, which I don't know. We can, that's another time, another discussion for another time. But it seems like those are all the questions right now in the chat. Drop any more if you have any more. Would love to talk some Arizona hoop with you guys. For now, I do want to discuss the lineup for the Florida game, it feels like you got Sharpied in, printed in, written in permanent marker, Jaden Bradley at the point, Brayden Burries at the 2. And it feels like penciled in, at least in my mind, is Anthony Dell'Orso at the 3. And I don't think this conversation is going where you might think it's going. Because when I say penciled in for ADO or Delly, as his friends call him, at the 3, I pencil him in because Florida is huge. Truly, truly big. I mean, we're talking about a team that sports multiple 6'11" skill guys, like skilled players that are almost 7 foot, if not 7 foot. Thomas Haugh is, I think, 6'9", nearing 6'10", or like really tall 6'8", something like that. And ADO is not that size. He's put on a lot of muscle in the offseason. I am really bullish on his ability to defend more proficiently and more productively in the Big 12 Conference this upcoming year, based on his offseason, based on the work that he's put in, right? Based on what he's told us and based on what we've seen. However, for night 1, if I was Tommy Lloyd, chat, do you think we should potentially put ADO on the bench to start this Florida game? And I obviously Tommy Lloyd's probably going to start ADO, but in terms of who gets the lion's share of the minutes, do we think that the front court should look like Peat at the 3, Awaka at the 4, Krivas at the 5? It doesn't give you a lot of bench flexibility, though, with your front court. And I think that would be the main issue, right? Like, let's say you start all 3 of your bigs. You start Peat, you start Awaka, you start Krivas, and then let's say, I don't want to pick on him. So let's say Awaka picks up 2 fouls early, right? You sit him. Now you go back to your basic lineup of, Bradley Burries, ADO, or Aristode, or Karchenkov, Peat, Krivas. But then you don't have Awaka coming off the bench, really. You don't really have much off the bench in terms of the front court, if that is concerned. So I don't think Tommy actually pulls that trigger. I don't think that Tommy actually starts both Awaka and Krivas. I think we see Krivas start this matchup because Florida's front court is so massive. And I think we see Awaka come off the bench for a bit of a change up, a bit of a power switch, kind of like a third down back in football. You run Krivas the first 2 plays, it's 3rd and short, boom, throw Awaka in there, let them see how they react to that. So ultimately, I think the starting lineup looks the way that we anticipated to look: Bradley, Burries, ADO, Peat, Krivas. However, this roster this year gives you so much versatility. So I'm interested to see if anyone believes that Tommy Lloyd might throw us a little bit of a change up in this one. Eric Brotherton says, I think, see how Delly shoots early and kind of base it off of that. I see that as well. I mean, I think it's kind of, I'm not trying to, poo-poo your comment, but I think you're right. And I think it's almost like stating the obvious in a lot of ways, because what you cannot have is Anthony Dell'Orso missing his 3s against Florida, right? And I'm not talking about like he has to go perfect or you can't have him missing any shots. But if he's out there, he needs to be hitting at least a couple 3s, right? And so if he's not having a good shooting night, I really don't want to see him out there a bunch, especially against Florida, who is so big, so massive, so skilled. Lost Highway says, Haugh being talked about like he's Kevin Garnett, disturbing. He's not Kevin Garnett. He's not. In fact, I said you can really take advantage of him on the offensive end if you're Arizona. You can really put him in pick and rolls and make an example out of him. I think he's a very good player. And I think he, last year when he got brought up off of the bench and he played in starting minutes, I think his stats were incredible. I think his impact on that team was very good. But I don't think he's Kevin Garnett. I don't think he's Kevin Garnett. I love Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett is the reason I'm a Celtic fan. That is true fact. Count it. But I have a lot of respect for Florida's roster. I have a lot of respect for the players in their front court specifically. Oh, okay. And not me, just in general. No, yeah, you're right. I think, you know what? Lost Highway, like, you're right about Haugh, but I also think, like, the backcourt is really, like, mixing my mind up. Genuinely. I don't get how you can get 2 transfer players, right? Boogie Fland and Xavian Lee, One, completely unproven in a power massive conference like Xavian Lee. Two, Boogie Fland is a very good player, but how many times did Walter Clayton Jr. bail Florida out of games last year? I shouldn't say bail, but how many times did he close the door for Florida last year? He closed the game consistently last year for Florida. You lose that. And I think that when we're talking about Florida, that is a huge question. Who's closing the game for them? And I know Sam Albert said earlier in the chat that you can have, Condon run some stuff. You can have your experienced guys be more of the pivotal gears in this machine. However, someone's got to close the game. For Arizona, we know Jaden Bradley can close the game. He tried to do it against Clemson coming off the bench all by himself. Jaden Bradley is a closer. He can close games. Tobe Awaka, I'm not going to call him a closer per se, but we know he steps up when his team needs him most. Check Oregon last year. Check Akron last year. Sorry about hitting the mic, but I don't. Yeah, true, Sam. I figured, but you never know over chat. He says he was being sarcastic about the Condon running point thing. But yeah, but that's true, though. He doesn't have to run point, but you can run offense through him in the closing moments, right? And I think, he says they're going to go to Haugh when they need a bucket. But it's unproven if he can really lead you in massive games and get a bucket in these big, huge games. And this is a big, huge game. I know it's game one, but it's a big, huge game. Speaking of the magnitude of this game, Tommy Lloyd was asked about, quote, his rubric for success to how to evaluate this game against Florida. What are the things he's looking for against this Florida team to inform his decision-making going forward? And this was Tommy Lloyd's answer to that.
Well, I really don't have a rubric. This isn't English 101, so I'm sorry to break that to you. I mean, maybe I should give one. Like I told you guys before, this is a season. It's a journey. It's not a singular instance. It's not just an event. So this one event plays a much bigger role into it's a smaller part of a much bigger season. So for me, I'll evaluate it just on what it looks like and how it feels after we play. And, I love doing that with our team. I love staying in that moment. I love, connecting with the staff, maybe the next day and kind of figuring out, what direction we feel like we need to take things. I mean, to me, that's a lot of the fun and coaching is figuring that stuff out. So, I'm not acting like we have all the answers. We've prepared how we usually prepare to start a season. It's a single game against a really good team. Let's see how it goes, and then we'll kind of form some opinions and start making some adjustments from there.
We're gonna break down that clip and more clips from Tommy Lloyd, including his honestly fiery take. Like, genuinely, I would love to discuss this with you guys. The end of the show, Tommy Lloyd talks gambling availability reports, the scandal with the NBA, and a lot more right after this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. As my grandpa says in the chat, leave a like, please, and don't go anywhere. Let's talk about our friends over at Crown Royal. The purple bag. It is iconic. The Crown Royal purple bag is quite literally iconic. Every time I buy a bottle of Crown Royal, I said it on the last show, I'm going to continue to say it. Most times we do this ad read. I try to keep them. I try to keep as many purple bags as I can for as long as I can, put them to use for as long as I can. But it's not just me. On November 16th, the Crown Royal Purple Bag Project will be at State Farm Stadium. Crown Royal believes it's not what you have, it's what you give. And I think that is a massive message. So when it comes to honoring the bravest among us, American military heroes, our veterans and our active duty service members, we wanted to make sure that it's more than just simply raising a glass or saying thank you, which matters, but this is driven by Crown Royal's generous ethos of generosity. The Purple Bag Project was born, and since 2010, they have packed and distributed over 1 million purple bags and counting to soldiers and veterans. They're like care packages from the fun little Crown Royal bag. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? It's incredible. So make sure that you check out the Crown Royal Purple Bag Project at State Farm Stadium on November 16th. Consumers in attendance will be given a chance to pack their very own Crown Royal Purple Bag care package and a handwritten card as they work with packages from home to send them to individuals that are serving from across the entire world. For more information, visit crownroyal.com/purple bag project. Now, you guys, you know who these people are. This is the husband and wife law team, Mark and Alexis Breyer. If you don't know the husband and wife law team, you are too old. And if you don't know what that reference is, you don't know what the husband and wife law team are all about, because they are about killing it in the social game, but more importantly, making sure that if you have had an accident or serious injury, that they can defend you. Phoenix is their home, where they've raised their 8 children, and it's their focus to get their clients results and give back to their community. The team brings hundreds of years of combined trial experience, multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death suits, certified specialists by the State Bar of Arizona. And you're like, is that even a big deal, Kevin? Honestly, I don't think that's a big deal. Well, it is a big deal, because in Arizona, the State Bar has certified less than 1% of all lawyers as specialists in injury and wrongful death litigation. So if you are going through a situation that applies to injury or wrongful death, Alexis and Mark Breyer, the husband and wife law team, are the only people that you should be going to. They are certified specialists in this field. And plus, they actually go to trial. They are trial lawyers. If a case needs to go to trial, they are ready for that. And of course, like I said, they kill it in all the social media games. They are fun. They are professional. They are experts in their field. What, trio do you need more than those 3 adjectives? If you had a serious injury, please call the husband and wife law team first write this number down, 602-783-8841, or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. Check out the husband and wife law team. Check out the like button if you are in this stream right now. Go ahead and give it a little poke. Go ahead and give it a little prod. Leave a like on this here video. Thank you all for tuning in today with me on a solo Halloween Fired Up Friday pregame for Saturday edition of the AZ Wildcats podcast. We have some more Tommy Lloyd clips to get to. But before we do, I want to talk about, his rubric for success. Oof, man, recovering from that cold. Every once in a while, you get a little short of breath, and you just got to take a woosah deep in and out. But anyway, the rubric for success. I think that good question by whoever asked it. He kind of got dunked on because he used the word rubric, and Tommy said, well, this is an English 101. So I don't really have a rubric, which I get it. But what are you looking for success in this game, right? I mean, if you guys have anything specific, please drop it in the chat. Let me know what you are expecting Arizona to do in this matchup that will give you faith that it was a success, win, or loss. But Tommy Lloyd doesn't really have a rubric, and I think that is kind of the way to look at it. It is a massive game, but it is also just one game. And you do have a lot of freshmen in this matchup for Arizona that are going to be playing big minutes. So, do you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater if this doesn't go well for Arizona? Absolutely not. But I do think, and we're going to talk about this more probably tomorrow on the post game for football, honestly, especially if it doesn't go well. But in the pregame and in the watch along for Monday's game against Florida, we're going to be talking about what we want to see and what we feel like, we can extrapolate for the rest of the year. But I think ultimately it's going to be not nearly as fruitful, because Arizona has such a tough schedule, and there are so many tests, so many big tests this year for Arizona. That's going to leave a mark, says Elite 8 or bust. And honestly, I feel like the roster that Tommy Lloyd has, the time that he's been in Arizona so far, this is year 5 for Tommy Lloyd. It feels like Elite 8 or bust. I think I agree with you. That's going to leave a mark. But I will say this, that honestly, no, I agree with you. It should be Elite 8 or bust. Maybe not bust, because I think there are a lot of, last year, I don't think was a bust, even though you didn't get to the Elite 8, because you played Duke. And they had how many first-round picks on that team? I think that whole team is in the NBA this year. So that, I think last year's team in a, let's just call it an average March Madness year, probably makes it to the Elite Eight. Genuinely. But you ran into a buzzsaw named Cooper Flagg, named Kaman Maluach, named John Shire. And I think this time of year, it's really hard for me personally to be like, it's Elite Eight, regardless of the context, or else the whole season was a wash. And I'm not saying that that's like literally what you're saying, but I think that there's a lot more to it than that. The margins in the sport are so thin, especially when you're one of the last 8 teams of like 300 or whatever, how many there are. The margins are very thin. But yeah, I respect that expectation because Tommy Lloyd has taken a team that could have been in the Elite Eight last year and added multiple blue chip prospects. He's added, he's returned his veteran leadership from that team. And you lose Caleb Love, and everyone in this chat knows how I feel about Caleb Love. St. Louis and 314 stand up. However, I'm not going to say that can be addition by subtraction because that guy's in the NBA now. But what I will say is stylistically, this could be a more Tommy Lloyd team than last year's team. I think last year, Tommy Lloyd was trying to make objects fit into holes that they were not quite shaped for. You know, the round peg into a square hole or the square peg into a round hole. And it just didn't feel like he had all the pieces to work with. This year it does. This year it feels like Tommy Lloyd has every piece that he could want within reality, right? You have a potential NBA lottery duo in Brayden Burries and Peat. You have one of the most underrated, one of the most reliable point guards in America returning to your program in Jaden Bradley. You have one of the best rebounders who's only getting better in Tobe Awaka. You have a 7+ footer who on paper could dominate a ton of his matchups this year in Mo Krivas. And I haven't even gotten to the bench yet, which also features potential lottery pick Dwayne Aristote. Like, I don't know. I do have to cough, but we're going to fight through it. But like, look, I think that I could not fight through it. Pardon me. I think that you could argue that it really is Elite Eight or bust for Tommy Lloyd because he has to break through at some point. And I mentioned the front court matchup earlier. It was a huge part of today's show. This is Tommy Lloyd on the front court matchup between Arizona and the Florida Giants.
Well, I love our front court. I think our front court, is very well suited to play at Arizona and the way we want to play. And, I don't think we have the type of guys that are going to back down to anybody. And so, that's, Florida's got really good players. We have good players. Let's play the game and see how it goes. Maybe we'll get out there and afterwards I'll tell you I felt like we were overwhelmed. Maybe we'll play the game and I'll feel like, hey, I felt we're really comfortable with that matchup. So, we're going to play the game and we're going to see. I haven't played against them. They haven't played against us. So, I think we're going to both have to get out on the court and figure it out.
And it's an interesting scout, right? And it's a very interesting scout to have if you're Tommy Lloyd because kind of what Florida's front court is going to bring. You have a ton of film on them from last year's championship run. But you actually have no idea what this, because a big can't be productive without a good guard because someone's got to get them the ball, right? And that dynamic, that relationship is very pivotal to the success of your team. So I think it's an interesting scout if you're Tommy Lloyd because how are these bigs going to interact with Xavian Lee and Boogie Fland? How is that offense going to flow? How is it going to look? Where are going to be their pain points? What are going to be their points that they really want to get to, right? And when asked about how he scouts this, considering they played, Arizona's played a couple games on TV already, whatnot, and you don't have a ton of tape on Florida right now, and especially in their current iteration. Here's what Tommy Lloyd had to say on how he's scouting this matchup for Arizona.
So you have tape on everybody, Bruce. You have tape on everybody, and everyone has tendencies, just because they, I'm sure tendencies can change over the course of a summer, but like you go in with the information that's provided to you and you do the best job. But again, let's focus on the main thing. The main thing is it's the first game of the year and your team has to be ready to play. So to me, that's where our eyes, effort, and energy needs to be focused is more on ourselves and how we approach it. And, I don't think we're a slouch. I think that, we force the other team to make some decisions, and, just because, they've seen us play a couple times. I don't know. Maybe they got it figured out. Maybe they don't. We just got to go out and play the game.
You have to go out and play the game. Maybe Florida's got Arizona figured out before they even touch the court. Maybe they don't. Maybe Tommy Lloyd has the secret formula to stopping Alex Condon. Maybe he doesn't. But you got to go play the game. And that is one thing I am incredibly excited to watch happen. I'm incredibly excited to watch Arizona take on Florida. We do have the clip of Tommy Lloyd talking gambling after our final break, I promise, on the AZ Wildcats podcast today. Leave a like, stick around, don't go anywhere. We're talking Monarch Money, folks. Monarch Money is my personal CFO. I use Monarch Money all the time. I used promo code PHNX to get half off my first year of money management tools. And I could not tell you that I am what am I trying to say? I couldn't be any happier. That's what I'm trying to say. I can't come here and tell you that I could be any happier with Monarch Money's services. It is an incredible, incredible tool to have in your life. You see all these super high achieving COOs, CEOs, and they have like their personal secretary that handles this for them. And they got a person that is doing their daughter's birthday for them so they don't have to do that. That's the high life. With Monarch Money, you could also be living the high life. Take the stress out of managing your money with Monarch Money because it is truly something that I use multiple times a week. I check it all the time. If I have a new subscription, it notifies me. If I have a recurring vendor that's not a subscription, if I'm just going to Circle K a lot, it's like, yo, you're going to Circle K a lot, my friend. Just making sure that's all kosher. And I'm like, of course, that's the thirst stop. I'm going to spend more money at Circle K. Don't worry about it, Monarch. But look, you're thinking, well, I'm too busy to be checking my Monarch and checking my bank app. It's built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you because it is too long. You cannot put off your finances for any longer. Monarch does all the heavy lifting. Link your accounts in minutes and get clear data, visuals, and smart categorization of your spending and real control over your money. Don't leave money on the table. You're literally losing money by not using Monarch Money. You're getting robbed by subscriptions. The gym membership you haven't used, they're still charging you. You signed the contract. They're still charging you, but you probably forgot. And Monarch Money could help you out with that. And if you are in a relationship in this chat and you're thinking about getting married and going half on a bank account, Monarch Money is built for couples. Bring those bank accounts together. It gives your partner full access to your shared dashboard, including linked accounts, budgets, goals, and spending activities. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through your fingertips. Use code PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year, just like I did. That's half off, 50% off your first 12 months of Monarch Money at monarch.com with promo code PHNX. Last, but certainly not least, oh, yes. We're talking branded bills, folks. We're talking branded bills, the best way to elevate your headwear and your style. And if you have a brand, the best way to elevate your personal brand is with branded bills. If you want people rocking your logo across the streets of wherever city you are located in, hopefully Tucson, but branded bills is the way to go, folks. Use promo code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order of the most comfortable, most stylish snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees that you ever worn in your life. This is a local company from right here in the Freedom State of Arizona, made in Mesa. So make sure to head over to brandedbills.com. Use promo code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order of the most comfortable, stylish headwear in the whole damn game. We are ad-free the rest of the way, guys. I promise. But yeah, like we were talking about prior, this front court matchup is going to be absolutely must-watch TV. I know I said the backcourt is where the game is going to be won, and I believe that still. But you can only get that far if your front court is on par with Florida's front court. So it's like a heavyweight matchup. It's like a UFC fight card. You got the heavyweights, you know what I'm saying? In the co-main event, which is rare. It's just really rare. Usually you have the heavier weights, no matter what class it is, go above. This time, I think we got some, what do you want to call Brayden Burries and Jaden Bradley? Some middleweights? We got some middleweights in the main event, and we got some heavyweights in the co-main event. Because you can't get to the main event if the co-main doesn't happen. And I think Arizona cannot win this game with the backcourt if their front court doesn't help them get there. And a big part of that backcourt production is Brayden Burries. Tommy Lloyd was asked about Brayden Burries' ability as a three-level scorer. This is what Lloyd had to say.
For sure. I mean, he's a dynamic offensive player. I mean, I see him as a guy that, you know, when the ball's in his hands, he's going to make the right decision for the team, whatever that may be. And the right decision, could be him scoring at any one of those three levels or making a play for someone else. So he's somebody that, I'm sure over the course of the year is going to grow in that role. And we're very comfortable when the ball is in his hands.
I'm extremely interested to see Brayden Burries grow into his role that he's been gifted because he seems so ready. He seems so ready now. What's he going to be like in April, in March, February, January? You need him bad in February. February is brutal. Murderer's Row schedule in February. Very interested to see how Jaden Bradley rounds into shape for Arizona basketball this year. And then this is Tommy Lloyd's message to his freshmen, including Brayden Burries on night one, if he even has a message to his freshmen. What does Tommy Lloyd have to say?
I mean, nothing outside the ordinary. I mean, these are really good basketball players who've played on big stages before. I mean, it's another big stage, at a different level of basketball. So, I mean, I'm not going to act like it's everything equates, but, these guys, for freshmen, they're seasoned. They didn't just turn up and end up being a good player. These guys have been in the limelight and they've performed in the limelight and been very successful.
And that's true. I mentioned it earlier. These are incredibly high achieving young men. These are not your average run of the mill. Oh, he can jump really high and he has a lot of promise. I think he's going to be good. No, these are guys that are going to be professional basketball players. It's about just how good could they really be? How good could Peat be this year? How much can he maximize his potential at Arizona? Just how good can Brayden Burries be? How much of the Caleb Love role can he truly take over? I'm incredibly excited to see it. Just how good could Ivan Karchenkov or Dwayne Aristode be? It's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're gonna get with Dwayne Aristode and Ivan Karchenkov, but in the best way possible. It's just a box of different varieties of chocolate. I'll eat them all. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because Ivan Karchenkov could be like a sleeper agent type where you throw him in and all of a sudden he's just dominating his opponent. And I think he's, filling roles. He's cutting off the ball. He's stealing points with layups off the ball. He's defending well on the other end. He's getting out in transition. That's totally possible. It's also totally possible that he's okay. Dwayne Aristode. We saw him in the preseason be kind of passive and not really too effective, but he's also just spent a year on the bench for his team where he missed a year with a foot injury. So he's getting his legs under him. A lot of high floor, but also even higher ceiling players. And I'm very excited to see that for Arizona basketball this year. Our last Tommy Lloyd clip of the day, and I think the juiciest clip of the day. Not related to Florida, but I think that with everything going on, especially with Arizona football, the I almost said scandal, but not really, but like the magnifying glass? The magnifying glass that's been placed on Arizona football's availability report for this upcoming game against Colorado. There's a lot of questions, right? About, are they following the rules, right? Tommy Lloyd was asked about the addition of availability reports to Big 12 basketball this year, because if you did not know, for the first time, they're going to have to do availability reports this year before every conference game. And Tommy Lloyd took that question in a direction that maybe you didn't expect.
I was curious. Obviously things get taken out of context. Here's the deal. Guys, we've seen what's happened with this gambling stuff. Okay, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox and give all my opinions on it. Okay, but why are they making people do player availability reports now all of a sudden? For the media? No.
They're saying it protects the players.
Well, good. Then for sure. And then let's just add more prop bets. Let's add more. Because they're not protecting the players. What they're doing is they're protecting their financial interest. Okay, and investment in their sports. That's what they're doing, and so they're trying to protect the gamblers. They're trying to protect the bookies. That's who they're trying to protect. You could don't put it on the players. But if they want to put it on the players, they can. That's fine. Okay, they're not. They're not. This is solely because betting sponsorship is becoming a huge part of everything, and everyone wants a piece of it. So they're trying to get more friendly for the books, the casinos. That's it. Like, there's no other way to put it. So, I'd have no problem giving a injury report I have no problem doing it. But I think we all have to all just be honest with why we're doing it.
Well, I mean, I think that
I would literally, I have no problem. If we had a gentleman's agreement amongst coaches of calling Coach X the night before and say, hey, 13's not going to play tomorrow because he sprained his ankle. Just want to, as a gentleman, so you have a little opportunity to prepare your team. And then he tells me, hey, yeah, 12 for us is a little banged up. He ain't going to play. I have no problem doing that, sharing that information with our opponents. To me, that's a respect for competition. But that's not why we're doing it. So that's it. But I don't want to be a driving force or an opinion on this thing, guys. It's just obvious, and I just don't want the kids to get caught up in it and act like we're protecting the kids when we're not.
Cook them, Tommy Lloyd, because he is 1,000% correct. He's 1,000% correct. And I know that it happens a lot. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to be a voice for this. And then they give you the best take about it. And they unintentionally become a bit of a voice for it. And I think Tommy Lloyd, the way he answered that is so true. He said the quiet part very loud. And I think that when we're talking about availability reports, the coaches don't care. The players don't care. The books care. The gamblers care. I want to know, if I put money on Iowa State, is Sam Levitt available? I want to know. I need to know. Because if before the game, Sam Levitt goes trotting out there, I know he's out for the year. I'm just using this as an example. But if he goes trotting out there, I'm going to be really mad. And someone's going to have to correct that. And that's happening to hundreds of thousands of people across the country that are betting on these games. Sports gambling and its impact on pro sports, that's a whole different conversation for a different day. But its impact on college sports must be discussed because they're getting paid a lot of money. But these are college kids. You got players getting death threats in the DMs because they went under on a prop bet. Death threats because a 21-year-old missed a 30-foot jumper or a 21-foot jumper, whatever the hell it is. It's unbelievable, right? But I say all that to say this. I'm not going to get on my soapbox. I think Tommy Lloyd said it a lot better than I ever could in that clip. But that clip really struck me because that's our damn leader, guys. Wildcat Nation, that's our damn leader. Tommy Lloyd. I think that we can talk until we're blue in the face about Arizona, Florida, about the sports betting thing. But I really, really love that Tommy Lloyd took the time out of his press conference there. And that was pretty much the last answer he gave to talk about sports gambling and its impact and say, BS. This isn't for us. This is not for the media. It's not for the fans. It's for the books. It's for the bettors. It's for the gamblers. And so for that, I thank Tommy Lloyd. I applaud Tommy Lloyd. Get some plaudits as well. Shout out to Damon for that word. And yeah. I do have a lot more content-wise for you guys today, but we are already an hour and plus into this show, and it's just me. I've talked your guys' ear off for an hour plus. You guys are still watching. For that, so much love. Very, very thankful to all of you Wildcat fans and basketball fans that join me for today's show. I want to give a very special shout-out to Carl Schroeder, who said, I usually hear the pod on Spotify due to my schedule, but I always leave a like on YouTube when I can catch the stream. Kevo and Damon very much earn it. Sir, thank you. From the bottom of our hearts, Damon, I will speak for him in the very cold Colorado. We really appreciate that. We love doing this show, not only for us, but for you, because we love talking about Arizona athletics. I love talking about Arizona hoops. I was telling the production office today, I was producing D-backs, and Derek's talking to me about free agency baseball, and I respect that, but also, I just wanted to talk Arizona, Florida all damn day. And so that's what I've done. And we're going to save the Cam Williams talk for a trending pod. We have an update. Arizona is in the top 3. We have a final 3. For Cam Williams. We're going to talk about that in a trending pod that I hopefully will get up for you guys before the Florida game on Monday. Got a busy schedule ahead. We're going to try my best for that. But look out for that video early next week. Cam Williams trending. He has released his top 3, Duke, Texas, Arizona. Where does he stand? I will let you know the latest on that. Pigeon, we were talking about you today in the office. Me and Totri, we were talking about you, Pigeon. Me and Totri love pigeons. The bird, the actual flighted bird. We're talking about pigeons in the office today. And he said, if we started a pigeon podcast, what guests would you want? And I said, well, I literally said, I only know one pigeon, and he hangs out in the Wildcats chat. And I think that Pigeon is pretty damn cool. And I would love to have Pigeon on the pod. I don't actually know if the pigeon is a he. It's a bird. So, yeah, shout out to you, Pigeon. No worries for missing the early part of the show. Watch it back on the VOD. Leave a like. Throw a comment in after. Appreciate each and every one of you guys today. You can follow me. My name is Kevin Thomas, a.k.a. Kevo Posts on X, a.k.a. Kevo TikToks with 2 S's on TikTok. You can follow the podcast, me and my boy, my dog, Damon Dog. We got a super chat. AZ Catchy Buzzer Beater. AZ Catchy Buzzer Beater. AZ Catchy Buzzer Beater. In sickness or in health, me, always come through. And you, in sickness or in health, I don't know your current health status. You always come through with the buzzer beaters at the end of the show. AZ Catch G, one of the true OG fans. I don't want to call you a fan. That's weird. It's really egotistical of me. One of the OG listeners of this show. And for that, I am truly always grateful for you and your super chats. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Yeah, like I said, Kevo Posts on Twitter, Kevo TikToks on TikTok, PHNX_Wildcats on X for the podcast. Remember my dog, Damon Dog, cover everything from football to women's basketball to men's basketball to baseball, where Arizona has one of the best returning rotations. Yeah, I know about that too. Tap in with us over there. Tap in with us at AZ Wildcats Pod on TikTok as well. I like that, Deborah. Not a listener, not a fan, but a family member. I love that because that is how I feel about each and every one of you people in this chat. We are family. And yeah, like I was saying, follow us everywhere that we do our stuff. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 50K. Shane said if we hit 50K by Christmas, we get a pizza party. Pizza party, guys. Please subscribe, leave a like, follow me, follow the account. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the outro stuff. Become a diehard, become a supporters member. Like Deborah, like AZ Catch G. Pigeon, honestly, I'm looking at you. Become a supporters member. Just the price of a small coffee once a month. You get a free super chat. You get access to all our favorite emojis in the chat on YouTube, the Wilbur, the hand signal, all that. So become a diehard, become a supporters member. And until next time, folks, as always, happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Happy Fired Up Friday. And until next time, guys, you know the drill. You know where this is going. Peace out, bear down, and go Cats. Let's get a W on Monday and tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.